This year. This year is entitled Daf Yomi Sanhedrin Samech Dalid. In the previous two shirim in Sanhedrin, starting from Samech Bet, we started discussing halachas of one who does Melacha on Shabbat, where the Gemara discusses someone who's shogeg on Shabbat, and we started discussion about the halachot regarding someone who does Melacha on Shabbat. Unintentionally, intentionally, he didn't know any better, he forgot, he doesn't care about the halacha, and we went over some of the basics in the Shulchan Aruch, that one who does Melacha on Shabbat, intentionally, unintentionally, no one, not the one who performed, and anyone else can benefit from the Melacha on Shabbat. If he did it b'mezi, he can never benefit from the Melacha. In the previous year on Samach, we mentioned three leniencies in the Mishnah Berurah, that if it's a safek whether the Melacha is asur or not, there will be room for leniency. If it's shogeg and drabanan, there's room for leniency. And if it's shogeg under the right, in certain pressing cases, there'll be room for leniency as well. Another question we have to ask, how do you define hana'ah? A very simple question. Someone goes ahead, a person in the house, Rahman al-Islam, he grew up from, and he went off. And he goes in, he puts a light on Shabbat in the living room, and everyone's there. So does everyone have to walk out of the living room or not? So it's unfortunately, it may not be a case of shogi, it may be real mazid. Everyone talks about tinok shenishba, but we have to make sure we don't just extend the category to anyone. And there's no category of a mazid anymore. Tinok shenishba, a person who really doesn't know anything about Torah mitzvah, a person that grew up from and went off the derech. It's not so simple to say, oh, he doesn't know any better. Not so simple. Only Hashem is the ultimate judge, but simple shot, this is mazid. So he put the line on Shabbat, b'mazid. And even if you want to say he didn't know any better, so shogeg, you can't benefit. What is the definition of benefit? How do we define benefiting from Melacha on Shabbat? Luckily, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, in the Shulchan Shabbat, in his commentary on Shin Yud Chet, in Sif Katan Bet, he writes the following. He says we must see the halacha of Amir La'akum and learn from there. And by Amir La'akum, it's even Reish Ayin Vav, Sif Aleph. The Shulchan Aruch writes that one cannot benefit from Melacha that a guy did on Shabbat. Now we need to understand, how do you define what is a benefit? And the Biur Halacha says, what is a benefit? Where you can now do an activity because of Melacha the guy did that you couldn't do before. The guy goes ahead, the room is dark, pitch black. He puts a light on in the room for you. Now you could read. That's asur. That's clearly defined as benefiting. What if it's the middle of the day? He puts on a light. I could read before he put on the light. Now that he put on the light, it's a little bit easier to read. That's not defined as benefiting. Benefiting was it's a qualitative difference, and where it's only quantitative, that's not defined as benefit regarding Amir La'akum. When a guy does work for you on Shabbat, whether you can ask him about as one isser, a separate isser, the benefit from the Melacha he did for you. And the Biur Halacha in Reisha and Vav says benefit means a qualitative change. I couldn't do that activity, now I could do that activity. Shlomo Zalman says so too. When a Jew does Melacha on Shabbat, you cannot benefit. The definition of benefit is the same as Reisha and Vav, where an activity I could not do before, now because of the Jew's Melacha, now I can do that activity. Yetz Hashem, in the next year, we're going to see what are the ramifications. It's a very big chidush, and there's a lot of ramifications. Yetz Hashem, we'll see in the next year. Shalom.